Hey everyone, what is up? Josh here, and I'm starting a new little experiment today. Um, so I just stumbled on a channel that I'll link in the comments here in just a minute, called 10,000 Hours, and it's a fellow artist on YouTube. He's doing better than I am. But he is using neuroscience and learning hacks to try speeding up the process of learning how to draw and paint. And he's using Anki to do that. Now, Anki is a flashcard program that I've used in the past to learn business concepts because it's very good for helping you memorize declarative knowledge. So, like question and answer knowledge. So I've used it to internalize business concepts. I even used it for a little bit of language learning with Japanese for a little bit. Did not finish picking up Japanese, but it's a very powerful program, and he has found a way to integrate it into his art studies. And he made a big video about that, and that's what I'll link in the comments, is that video. But what's crazy about this is he actually identified the pillars of art in a very similar way as Chris Bevan and I did whenever we started going through the curriculum for self-taught artists, the solo artist curriculum. So let me see, copy this link. Oh, and here's the video I was referring to in the comments, or the chat. Boom. So yeah, I'm really impressed and happy with the video he put together on how to use Anki for training your art skills. So I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to using my own resources. I have books and books and books and books and books to draw from, but what I'm going to do is pick a topic that I'm interested in learning, pick up my favorite book on that topic, and then one chapter at a time break it into flashcards with exercises. And I'll show you what one of those flashcards looks like here in just a few minutes. This morning I only have 2 cards. I only have 2 flashcards put in because I started this process yesterday. But my first 2 cards, one of them was on perspective, because I want to internalize the concepts of perspective better, and the other was on ballpoint pen technique. So you'll get to see the ballpoint pen technique video here in just, or flashcard here in just a minute, after I finish my perspective exercise for the day. So each flashcard that I have is broken down into like 3 basic sections. So the front of the flashcard is like the overarching topic, along with a question or 3 about that topic. So the questions related to perspective that I got asked today were, what are the points and planes that are important to understand for perspective drawing? What type of technology does perspective drawing mimic? And what was the last question? Oh, what's the typical field of vision, or cone of vision? What angle is the typical cone of vision for human sight, which is 60 degrees? And then the challenge for today was to do overdrawings of, I said 5 while I was setting up this challenge. I am going to change my card to 4 for the simple fact that 4 is what will fit nicely in a sketchbook. So I'm doing 4 overdrawings to identify the ground plane, horizon line, vanishing points, and see if it is a 60 degree or 50 millimeter lens. that the photo was taken with, which is mimicking human sight, not a telephoto lens, which flattens everything out, or a fisheye lens, which causes a lot of distortion. So let's get to it. I'm gonna start. Let me see. If I scoot up, yeah, you'll still be able to see me in the frame. I'll move the camera a little. There we go. So the first one here is really pretty canal scene. So the first thing I want to do is identify the horizon line and ground plane. So to me, put it right here, and we'll be able to check the vanishing points on that here in just a second. I am making a mistake by drawing a little there. There we go. Sure if the camera was completely level whenever the photo was taken. Alright, so now I'm going to try identifying a vanishing point. Looks like it should land right in there. And just so that we can get an accurate measurement, let's compare. Right. Looks like my horizon line's a little low over here. That's okay. Now, I'd like to identify another vanishing point. Way off into the distance. Looks like this may not have been a telephoto lens, or a 60mm lens. Because this goes off into the distance. Now, here's what's up. So here's the interesting part about that 60-degree field of vision. So if our 60-degree field of vision gives us a picture plane, hold on, I'm going to do this on a new layer. So if our 60-degree field of vision, or cone of vision, gives us a good measurement, we can do get it close. We place this in a square, basically. This will be our field of vision. $60 is 2/3 of 90. So okay. So if 60 is 2/3 of 90, then we split this in half and add half again. So from here, midpoint to here to here. This should give us a 90-degree field of vision. We can move this to line up with one of those vanishing points. And if this were a 50mm, well, good luck with the glasses. I wear glasses too, just not while streaming. I need them for driving, not working. So if, talking perspective, if this vanishing point and this vanishing point line up on this two or bleh. If those vanishing points line up at the 90-degree angle on the horizon line, then we'll know it's a 50mm lens and took the photo. This is flattened out a little bit. I'm assuming that it's about right here. So this angle is not at 90 degrees. It's probably a telephoto lens that has flattened the landscape out a little bit. But, you know, we have identified the ground plane, the vanishing points, and we've determined that this is not a 50mm lens, so there is some distortion and flattening. Alright. So that's one. I'm going to do this one last because that's a special one. Alright. So one down. Let's move on to this one. Okay. So what I'm looking for is a point where I can see the top plane of things that I'm above and see the bottom plane of things that I'm beneath. So if I were guessing, I'd say the horizon line is right in through here. Pick up a point, extend it, pick another point, and extend it. So here, it looks like maybe here. Now the question is, take this, divide it in half, and that again, comes out to about here, which means that this vanishing point lines up here, and this one's a little wide, so this might be a slight telephoto lens, but it's much closer to 50mm than the previous drawing. So I'm going to say, yeah, this is probably close to 50mm. Here's an interesting one. Looks like there's not much. Do I draw anime girls? No. Typically not anime. So here's our horizon line. Here is one vanishing point. It's kind of obvious, like this all comes straight to a vanishing point here. And then our other vanishing point would be way out here. Now what's interesting about this one is that I am not entirely sure. Take the longest edge, that's our field of view. Let me make a new layer for this. So that I can use it like a ruler. So this is our widest edge. I want to rotate it. So that does fall slightly outside. That is not 2/3 though. So our picture plane is a little weird on this one. I would say this is a less than 50mm lens, but not by much. All of these photos, by the way, are from Pexel's stock photography website. Royalty free, blah blah blah. So Creative Commons or no attribution, whatever. Go to Pexels. Can I show you my art? I mean, you can check out some of my art at my blog. It's at joshj.blog. And then I've got art on the walls in my studio. And more art over that direction. Yeah. All right, moving on to the last one. So this one I saved for last because it's tricky. You can't see the ground plane. So the ground plane falls somewhere down here. I'm just not sure where. And to find it, I will do... I'll have to find where two vanishing points converge on both sides. So I'm going to start here. Get it lined up as close as possible. That's not going to work. It's too high. Which begs a different question. Huh. So what I'm going to do is actually open a new page. Yeah, we'll do a new page. Is this one? Move it up to the center of my little sketchbook here. And now we should hopefully be able to find where one of these vanishing points is. Just extend it all the way down. Alright, so there's one. And we'll use the same. Those are almost parallel, and I can't draw them out far enough. What is up, Sean? I can't draw these out far enough to reach the horizon line on that side. Now, looking at how far apart these vanishing points would be, this is definitely the telephoto lens, because this would be the width of our field of vision, which is like this is definitely a telephoto, because this is like 5 times the field of vision. So ground plane. Way greater than 50 millimeter on this one. I was thinking that it may have been close to a 50 millimeter. It shows how untrustworthy eyeballs are. So this was the one of the exercises for today that I was trying to demo for perspective and really internalize. So next up, I'll show you what some of these other cards look like. So ballpoint hatching techniques. Yeah, probably not. I don't really want to be famous per se. I want to make a decent living. Oh, so the way I have my cards set up is like this. So what are the two main approaches to lines with hatching techniques? So you can do, all right, take it easy, man, or take it easy, person, day. I know Emily is a unisex name, so male, female, I don't know. But take it easy. The two main approaches to lines with hatching techniques. So you can either zigzag or do parallel lines. And then how can you layer hatching while maintaining the impression of form? You slightly alter the direction so that you're not doing a perpendicular crosshatch. You layer with the angle increasing ever so slightly. So once you've identified or answered the question, you can see the different answers and then the challenge that goes with it. So pick any subject with at least 5 different planes and render it in ballpoint pen using hatching and cross hatching to convey both value and form. And then we get different options or buttons to hit based on how difficult the exercise was. And then I also have screenshots or photos, in this case, photos of the pages in the book that I drop in. So rather than try to answer it, I am going to go and open a new page. And then I'm gonna come right over here to my handy dandy computer. I'm gonna head back to Pexels. And pick a stock photo of something or other and see if I can render it using that method. That's interesting. We'll go with some breakfasty things. So yay, stock photos. Paste. Wow. There we go. I'll just throw that over there. Make a new group. And let's see. Let's pull OBS back up. All right. Each one of these exercises I've tried to design with time in mind. I don't want to spend forever on these. I'd like to quickly learn and internalize what it is that I'm setting out to learn and internalize that day, and then move on. So these are exercises. They're not meant to be finished pieces of art. They're just me trying to internalize and push skills as far as I can. So that I can move on and enjoy the rest of my day. So here, breaking the picture plane. Out of practice horribly. Move this up so I'm not hitting my wrist on the table. dark and dreary outside here. So, if I were taking notes on this, I would say, well, I'm going to take notes on this, but I would say that this challenge, in terms of conveying a sense of form, is a little bit harder than I thought. Especially doing something digitally that I would normally approach with a little more automation. Like, this is not an easy ask if you're trying to mimic traditional media. Like, doing this traditionally would be definitely a challenge, and I am blessed with the undo button. The main thing I would say is this is a little more time consuming than I thought. Like, I feel like I have a grasp on what it is I'm doing, but it is not fast or in any way natural to me. I mean, this is a good rendering exercise. So improving your visual library, that is a tough one, and unfortunately I don't have any great advice there. The best way that Actually, I take that back. So in terms of visual library, I do have a pretty good visual library of the human figure, and the way I pulled that off was simply repetition and learning to draw it from memory. So improving your visual library is in no way romantic, quick, and easy. You just have to really pick a topic and then immerse yourself in it until you know it. This is another, like, this here is an attempt for me to improve my visual library. I would say that in terms of like steadily improving it, it does take repetition and preferably spaced repetition. So that's kind of the beauty of the Anki flashcard exercise here. I am building in spaced repetition for the things that I want to have a better visual library at. So I'm about to dig into cloth and clothing studies over the next few months, probably. So I'll be repeating a lot of cloth and fold exercises in an effort to improve my visual library in that specific topic. I did get my hands on a book that I'm hoping will help, but it's a book all about drawing from memory, and it has a lot of exercises about memory drawing. Kind of excited for that. I wonder if it will help internalize some more stuff that I've struggled with in the past. Also, I do want to point out that I do realize that I'm doing things sort of wrong here. Typically, I say work large to small, but this exercise for today was about rendering. So I'm trying to get to the rendering as quickly as possible. So I am knocking it out. see if I can find the book I was referring to. Turned off hardware encoding. Oops. Let's see. That book, it's actually just called Memory Drawing by Darren Roussar. I think that would be a good book. I don't want to use word complete. Go away. I think that would be a good book to practice building a visual library. I think. Yeah, I can't promise anything with that one. It's a book that I recently learned about, and I'm hopeful, but I haven't read it yet. Actually, it looks like it'll probably still be. Oh, let's do the top plane here. Wait a second. I thought that was an upside down mug. I think that's like a teapot, little teapot. So picture plane cuts it off, but that's fine. So the challenge here is that I'm trying to communicate some sort of form with my hatching. For this one, there are two different ways to do. I'm not going to put the handle in just because I don't know how it finishes or completes there, but there are two different ways that I can do the rendering and shading on this. I can do parallel line hatching. Space it out a little further as it gets towards the highlight area. The challenge here would become connecting zones of hatching without drawing over the existing hatching too much so that it creates too much density in one area. There was a section about it prior to this in the challenge, or in the book, which is Framed Drawing Techniques by Marcus Mateo. So I'm trying to create density here. A little bit here, and it gets less dense, less dense, less dense. And looks like a little bit more dense on the very edge. And there's like a lip of highlight right here, so I'm going to try to emphasize that a little bit. By putting some dark up against the highlight. Well, not dark, but just some tone. I'm laying down some tone. So the issue with this is that I'm not using direction with the hatching to imply form. So that is where, especially on a cylinder, it's a little bit more difficult to imply form using hatching, but I can put the occasional cross contour in here, like a cross contour hatch line, just to communicate that, you know, this is a rounded form. And down here where that highlight is a good opportunity to build a little bit of extra darkness. And yeah, that's not half bad. Do the same thing on the other side. There's really not a lot of light over here. It looks like the highlight would probably be right in through here, but there's a little bit of tone right here that I can see, so I'm gonna draw that in using form hatching lines. Just very lightly sketch it in. Lighten up some of this construction drawing. And do I feel like working on waffles? Why not? This wasn't supposed to be a long exercise, but I think I'll do it anyway. Sorry. Time to stretch and get some water. Cheat a little. Sorry. Screen protector causes some wobbles if I draw diagonally, like so. It is something that I've tried to compensate for, but it's getting a little frustrating now. I will say this texture on this screen does make me want to upgrade to the M4 iPad Pro. I just, at this point, I think it'd be really fun. thinking about it, but this cloth would actually be a really good opportunity to practice some rendering techniques. Ooh, bonus challenge here that I didn't quite realize. These are all little boxes in perspective. Wasn't even thinking about it, but wow, yay. I like bonus challenges. All going in different directions. And they're bendy. Alright. So there's my waffle boxes in perspective. This is a cylinder, another cylinder. Is to try drawing in a way that conveys the form of what it is that I'm drawing. There's the thunder. I really need to control my hatching better on this plate. It's also very light, so let's start over. So we have a thickness to this cylinder that would present itself about like so. So let's try this again a little more carefully. But I don't mind that it's getting very linear. That's sort of the point. I'm not trying to render it realistically. I'm trying to render it in a way that conveys form. So this is the inside of a cylinder, and I want to have these lines wrap appropriately around said cylinder, like that. This is the bottom of a cylinder, which is just a flat plane. There's a little bit of a highlight up against the edge, but this is still flat. There we go. On this side of the cylinder, we have light, so there's not going to be any shading over here, because the light, just like everything else, is hitting here, here, here. Here, I would like to, again, have it wrapping around the cylinder. Get a little bit of the cloth coming up to cover the cylinder here. Thickness of this cylinder here. Not a lot of shading here, but a little. It fades quickly. So this is actually a cast shadow from the waffles. It is raining very hard now. Speaking of cast shadows, this blueberry is casting its own shadow. I'll do one more blueberry. I don't care so much about drawing in every single blueberry that I see. Foreshadow on that berry. is currently 9:52. I do have an appointment coming up, and I'm actually pretty pleased with the challenge that I took on today. So working on a little bit of perspective and determining what lens type was used for some urban photography. What I learned here, the eye can be very, very deceiving. So the first photo that I did was probably close to a 50mm, but it was definitely some sort of telephoto lens. The second photo, this one, was, I do believe, an actual 50mm lens. This one was, it looks like a little bit less than a 50mm lens. It was probably shot with 35mm. This one was much larger than a 50mm lens. I thought, looking at the initial photo, that it probably would have been a 50mm lens, but it wasn't. So after I did all of my perspective studies, I moved on to a little bit of technique study with ballpoint pen. This was a lot harder than I thought it would be. So next time I think I'll go with one simpler subject and see if I can render it pretty well with a ballpoint pen using hatching techniques like so, to imply form, kind of like this still life, to imply form with it. But I'm gonna hit hard on that one. So I'd like to do between 1 and 3 of these exercises every day, and when possible, I'm going to be linking it directly with a project that I'm working on. So that brings me to the project that I'm working on, which I don't have here. It's actually in a physical sketchbook. Whoa. I am going to try building my portfolio with basically fan art, interpretations of things from novels that I have read. So the one that I'm working on right now is so I've read the entire Wheel of Time, books 1 through 14. Love them, but I just restarted the series. Let me rephrase that, the prelude, all 15 books of the Wheel of Time, so that includes the prelude in the spring, or the prequel. Yeah, prequel, not prelude. But I just started listening to The Eye of the World, read by Rosamund Pike, on Spotify, because Spotify does audiobooks now. But I'm starting at the beginning. I'm doing the scene between Ishamael and Luz Theron, where Ishamael heals him before he breaks the world and lets him see the results of his own insanity. So I'm trying to paint that scene, and I've got my thumbnails done, and I'm in the reference collection stage, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. I'm not sure that these exercises that I'm working on right now will have a direct impact on that project, other than like maybe rendering some things out with the thumbnails. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you stopping by, watching me draw some boring-ish things, but in a challenging way. I'll be doing another one of these probably in a day or two. Yeah. But until next time, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you visit joshj.blog if you want to buy some art, or sign up for my mailing list, or sign up for my website, any of those things. And until next time, keep drawing, painting, writing, singing, or dancing your hearts out, and we'll talk soon.